I am thrilled for today's Dream Job podcast guest. He is a Broadway actor, a voiceover artist, a director, a streamer, a talent extraordinaire. Maybe you saw him as the Genie in Aladdin on Broadway, or maybe you heard his voice in Pokemon Horizons. He is set to bring Spamalot to his hometown of Fort Worth, set to play at Bass Hall. I want to welcome in the supremely talented Major Attaway. Thank you for hanging out with us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
I got to say, right off the bat, I hear that voice and I get transported. I get taken someplace. How often do people, not give you a hard time, bring up the fact that you've got those amazing pipes?
Often enough. And not too often that I get tired of it.
Well, when you do the kind of work that you do, that's a good thing. When they reinforce that, it means like, okay, I'm in the right line of work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, so Major, this is the Dream Job podcast, and you have a job that a lot of people would consider to be their dream job. When did you realize that this was what you wanted to do for a living?
That's an easy answer. I was sitting in the New Amsterdam Theater in New York City. It was my first trip to New York for the sake of seeing Broadway shows. I do have some family there, so I had visited them before. Mm-hmm. But I was watching my first Broadway show. I was watching The Lion King, about 7 to 9 rows back from the stage, and I was on the aisle. And the animals came down the aisle. The elephant came by me. I squealed, almost passed away. And once we were at the stage door, and those kids came out and told me that they do their homework backstage because they spend so much time here. Mm-hmm. I said, oh. And I turned to my mother and I said, this is what I'm going to do. There was no, this is what I'd like to do. This is what I want to do. I was like, I'm doing this. Like, y'all keep asking me what I'm going to do for a living. It's going to be this. So just be ready. Yeah.
What was mom's response? Was this one of those deals where you tell mom this and she's kind of like, yep. I already knew that you had the chops to do this kind of thing.
I'm not sure exactly. I think she was excited about how excited I was. But, we lived in Fort Worth, Texas. So a Broadway stage was very far away, and that would mean her child would be far away. Mm-hmm. So I don't think at the time it might have been that exciting of an idea for her. I think after some encouragement from teachers in Fort Worth, some at Casa Manana, Jubilee, and things like that, that she was on board, with the idea. But at first, very lofty for a preteen to be saying, I'm going to be here when we have to go back to Fort Worth. So yeah, I think they got on board with it eventually. And I was so set on it that, I spent so much time at the theaters when I could here in Texas. I think they got on board. Yeah.
And you were how old, by the way, when you make this proclamation?
I want to say 11.
So you're 11.
Either 10, 11, or 12, something like that. Yeah.
So you're an 11-year-old kid. Again, you mentioned, you grew up in Fort Worth, and the Great White Way just must have seemed so far away. What was the moment, though, when you realized, okay, this isn't just a dream, but like I'm, because I know you said I'm going to do this, but being able to say that and it actually becoming a reality are two different things. Was there a point in the process for you where you really thought, okay, these dreams are coming true?
Yes, but that did take a while, to be honest. There was the moment that was really important was doing theater at Casa Manana. Mm-hmm. I was a large kid, so they would double cast me in shows, which meant I spent a lot more time there than the other kids. And I spent a lot of downtime with other adult actors. And there were a few of them. And actually, I can be pretty specific with this thought. There's an actor named Michael Halden that I grew up thinking was just absolutely incredible at Casa Manana. And he moved to New York and he had to change his name to Halden Michaels because someone already had his name.
Right.
And the next time I saw him, he was back in Fort Worth doing a musical. And I was thinking, wow, this man is this good and went to New York and is now back here. I said, okay, clearly I need to stay here until I'm good enough that when I go up there, I can stay up there. Mm-hmm. So that was huge for me, working with really talented actors who had a New York address, mm-hmm. but they were working here in Fort Worth. So that told me to stay locked in. And I learned what to do and what not to do and how to respect the space from top to bottom. I started working everywhere in Casa at that moment. Front of house. I sold concessions. I worked backstage, under the stage, because I needed to be good enough at this that they wouldn't make me leave. Pretty much. I was like, I have to stay here. So I have to figure out what parts I need to get better at to always be here. So yeah, I would think those were formative years, whereas like my middle school years, learning what it would really take to do this all the time. And then let's see, there was another, like going to school for the first time. I went to a conservatory. I went to the Chicago College of Performing Arts for 1 year, mm-hmm. and thinking I needed to dive deeper into getting better at this. And while I learned some great things, made some friends that I'm still friends with, mm-hmm. Some of my classmates weren't on the same journey as I was. And that was, I wouldn't say alarming, but just enlightening. Mm-hmm. There were some people there who just wanted to try it out and just see if it would work. But I was like, no, I'm here to make connections and get to the next thing. And I left that school because I felt like I'd already learned the majority of the basic things they were teaching us. Yes, I needed to be more well-read. Yes, I needed connections and things like that. But as for how to lock in to tell a story, mm-hmm. I did that a lot. So I knew I could do that. So yeah, so I left there and I became a massage therapist so that I could be in control of my entire schedule, and that I could make money during the day, because I was doing theater at night either way, and for little to no money for a long time. So I needed something to balance it out.
Well, it's funny because I will talk to journalism students who want to get into, this line of work, who want to get into, whether it's reporting or hosting or being a broadcast journalist or whatever. And they'll ask for career advice. And I'll tell them, if you're not doing it now, then you maybe won't be doing it down the road. In other words, this should be the kind of thing where you love it so much that you're doing it whether you get paid or not. And I know that that's easier said than done for a lot of people, but there are tools now where you can start a blog, you can start a social media account, you can do the thing. And as you said for yourself, you can be in community theater, you can be in, or at least audition for and try to get roles in projects that may or may not pay, but you can't imagine not doing it because it is part of your essence. And not everybody has that drive or desire for a profession or career. And I think that that's fine. But if you want to make it in a competitive field like you're doing, I think that's essential.
I really do. I used to make charts with shows on them for like 5-6 theaters in the Metroplex. I would have start dates, end dates, distance from my house. So, what it paid, mm-hmm. all before I went to the audition, because mm-hmm. I'm going to be in a show. It's just like, which one?
That mindset, where did that mindset come from for you? Because look, this is a pursuit that has ups and downs, and you get told no far more often than you get told yes. And it is hard not to hear that no and take it personally. So the mindset of, I'm getting cast, I'm going to make this work. Was that just something you were born with, brought up with? Where'd that come from?
I think it was developed. A time where I think this happened was when I was working simultaneously at Jubilee Theater mm-hmm. and at Casa Manana. At Casa Manana, we're doing shows that everyone knows, the King and I, Big River, mm-hmm. Tom Sawyer. And I'm just in the ensemble, mm-hmm. Most of the time, or playing the black kid, honestly, somebody just in there.
Unnamed black kid.
Absolutely, because they need my vocals and they need whatever. But down the street at Jubilee, we're doing original works. I'm being cast as Zeus in an original musical about the creation of man. And I'm singing songs that were written for my voice at 17, 18 years old. Narrating or being the narrator of a jazz musical at 16. And these were what shaped my work. Like knowing that in the right space, things are crafted for you definitely helped my perspective. Because it was never about whether or not I was good enough to do something. It was about what's going to work best for my instrument. And all I needed was a few people to tell me that, for me to hold on to it and say, oh, if I've decided that I'm an actor, that's not the question anymore. It is about how I'm going to get better, what shows are going to help me grow. So yeah, like, and one thing that also stood out, even in high school, it's at like 15, we did Othello for one act play competition. And so even starting then with being trusted to, I was like, what 15-year-old kid should be doing?
You apparently.
Right. I mean, I guess, but just that definitely locked in that mindset, I would say. Yeah. Oh, and also the schools that I went to. I went to an elementary school and a middle school that were about applied learning. So
where did you go to elementary school?
I went to Alice Carlson Elementary.
Alice Carlson's a great school.
And then I went to their middle school, which was the Applied Learning Academy. That school was the adopted school of Casa Mignana. So I lucked out again. That meant that I was allowed to miss school to be in theater, and they wouldn't count me absent. I was privy to joining the after-school theater courses for free, as long as I could get myself there. But being in those classes allowed me to audition for Casa Kids, which was their exclusive performance troupe. We went everywhere. And so these are things, that was another thing, is that I was the token in a lot of spaces. Yeah. Growing up doing theater. But it also allowed me to flourish because half the kids in the group couldn't do the things that naturally came to me based on the music I listened to growing up. I was like, if all of them listen to that and I'm listening to Boyz II Men, I'm going to sound different. So it just, like in a weird way, in the Jubilee space, I was one of a bunch of Black people who could step forward because my voice was different. And then in the white space, I was the only one there. So whatever I did was unique, which was helpful as well.
I want to follow up on that in a second, but you talked about elementary school and middle school. Have you been back inside those buildings, by the way, since you left? How often do you make it back to Fort Worth?
Not as often as I would like. Sure. I did spend a summer here in 2023. I directed 3 shows, which was really wild. That was a first for me. But have I been back? You know what? I'll make it back this time to those schools. I'll make sure I go see them both. The stomping ground. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been back.
Well, you and I think we have a few small world connections, but we have one in particular that I wanted to ask you about. I read an interview that you gave, and you talked about Ann Hunter at Arlington Heights. Ann Hunter was one of my teachers at Southwest when I was a student, and she was a woman who had a profound impact on my life, and miss her dearly. And to read that we had a common thread put a smile on my face. What did Ann Hunter mean to you?
Well, she's the one who made me do Othello. If that's a good start. She changed me. She definitely did. She pushed me. She was probably the first acting teacher that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. She was also someone who had already been in the business and was finished with the business. And that's why she started teaching. You know, she had spent years touring and I remember she was going deaf in one ear from always having a headset on backstage. And but she showed me that what I brought to the table was enough. And she helped me sharpen it for sure. She wouldn't let me give up on myself. She fought with me over things, which is kind of crazy to think about. Even as a high schooler, like we argued over what I wanted to do because she needed me to try harder. And that pissed me off.
Yeah. That sounds like Ann Hunter.
Yeah, she was pushy, man. And it was in a great way. Because there are things, one thing she said to me back in high school, she's like, Major, talent is not what we're talking about. You need to do what I say. She said, you have the talent, but you need to be easily directable. She's like, it doesn't matter if you're good if you don't listen. And I was like, okay. And to this day, my castmates can vouch. When we're in a rehearsal and it's time for notes, I receive my note and I say, thank you. Because I know where my position is. I'm the vessel to do, to deliver the message. If I'm in the director chair, I'm going to tell you what to do. But if I'm in this spot, I'm going to take my note and we're going to craft this together. Because it's not a question of what I can do or what you can do. It is the collaboration. And she taught me that.
Yeah, she had some really unique talents, and I think stood up for a lot of kids, wasn't afraid to mix it up. Certainly a better person for having encountered her.
One thing something that I really loved, Othello was big. We did a bunch of shows. We did Pippin and like the Curette, Shakespeare, lots of things where she pushed me. But in Othello, I remember my posture for her was a huge issue. She was like, you are a warrior. And this was at a time like freshman year of high school. I had major surgery on my leg. So I was still in my head about standing up tall. Like I didn't want to do it. She threw tennis balls at us, man.
Yes.
She did. She sat there in the first row, and whenever I leaned over, she would. Now, luckily she wasn't a great aim, so she didn't hit me often.
You see a ball just fly past the screen.
I felt the wind, and that was enough for me to stand back up. So yeah, she was great.
Oh man, good stories. Well, I want to get back to you kind of introduced an idea when you talked about Jubilee Theater and kind of your experiences there. And being maybe the only person of color in a lot of spaces that you inhabited here in Fort Worth, did moving away, how did that broaden your horizons? How did that make you feel like, I found where I'm supposed to be. I found my people. I found my place. I found other spaces that I didn't even know existed. Was that your experience at all?
Yes. Moving away allowed me to meet a lot of other people who had a very similar experience as well, which put me at ease in a way. But also I was like, so we all kind of suffered the same weirdness. Yeah. And I said, did that make us better? And they were like, probably. So
now is this with other actors in general or specifically other actors of color?
Yeah. Other actors of color in New York. Okay. Because we all have on our resumes, there's like a handful of popular Black shows. Big River, Ain't Misbehaving, Ragtime. I realized at a young age that most of the shows I was currently cast in, I was either playing a slave or an animal. And I was like, I think I'll stick with the animals, So I've done Seussical 3 times. Like I've done Ragtime 3 times, but also Seussical 3 times. I've done Amos Behaving 3 times. It was like there were just certain shows that, if you're a Black actor, the local theater, that's going to be the best way for you to get in. And, Hairspray is on that list, that type of thing. So yeah, moving into magic, like the Genie was very nice. And I was like, technically, I was like, he is unbound to serve. I was like, they might be, golden
like, we're getting back towards some uncomfortable territory, maybe.
So, it definitely, it still to this day affects, the choices I make. I'm like, being King Arthur was a huge thing for me. Like I was like, you want me to be the guy? You want me to be him? I can handle that. So yeah, I mean, it definitely affects a lot. It still affects my creativity, and I think in a positive way. It's now writing is easier, because you have to write your own stories. You have to make space for yourself and things like that. And I mean, it's a slow burn, of course. It takes time to really affect change within myself first so that I can be the example of that. But yeah, I think finding, and I will say, now that I'm thinking about this, I still don't feel like I've been in a black show that has been on Broadway necessarily. Like I did Aladdin, which was mostly, it was like a lot of Filipino castmates, and before, like racially ambiguous and things like that, just like if they could be from that mythical place of Agrabah. And then Little Shop of Horrors was probably the biggest because, Levi Stubbs was the original voice of that. And the three urchins are based off of the black singing groups and things like that. But, that's still a show that's, written by, by Alan Menken. So there's still a certain energy that comes from it, even though the music feels authentically funky and things like that. But I like to stick to shows where it's either going to be heavy on the comedy or heavy on the jazz or heavy on the magic. Other than that, it's probably going to be a struggle bus. Like as much as I love ragtime, and Josh is doing amazing things on Broadway right now, 8 shows a week of ragtime or 8 shows a week of like Les Mis, like that's heavy. That's really heavy. And I did Les Mis at Casa Manana. And after just 2 weeks of that show, I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to go to war and die every go to work.
But so that's interesting because, you are doing, it's a lot of heavy lifting. I think people forget for stage performers, especially at the level you're working at, whether you're on Broadway or the touring shows, just the sheer volume performances. There is all the prep work that goes into it. You've got rehearsals, you've got hair and makeup. You're doing it in city after city after city. It takes a toll, I imagine. Does it help when it is something like Spam-A-Lot and there's a lot of laughter and you are, is that energizing when you come out, wrap up a performance night after night?
Absolutely. I think we have a lot of jobs being actors, a lot of mirrors that we're supposed to hold up for the community to reevaluate themselves and how they feel about their own life. It was purposeful that if I'm going to be traveling across this country, it needs to be to remind people of joy. It needs to be to allow them to forget the biggest issues they have for just a couple hours. I was like, the fact that everyone piles in to lift their, to dive into their imagination with us is a beautiful thing. And this particular show crosses generations with that. I was like, the movie is 50 years old. And so to see grandparents bringing their 40-year-old kids and then them bringing their teenagers who are just obsessed with musical theater, who are going to, get to take this ride. It's great. It really feels good that my job is to alleviate the pressure of life for people for a little while.
Spam-A-Lot coming to Bass Hall in Fort Worth as we are recording this. That place one of my favorite places in the world to spend time. You just walk in, and the way it felt as a kid going into a theater, that kind of magic, what's about to happen. It's 2 and 11 there, because you've got the beautiful expanse, just such a beautiful facility, an amazing place to catch a show. What are you most looking forward to about bringing Spamalot to the audience at Bass Hall in Fort Worth?
Well, Bass Hall is probably the one theater that I remember when it opened.
Mm-hmm.
I was there. I was there for the opening of that. I was young, but we did theater there. I performed there. Oh, wow. I'm just remembering this. The very first Betty Lynn Buckley Awards for the local high school theater awards was held at Bass Hall, because it was a new venue. They wanted to go big. I wasn't even in high school yet. I was in 8th grade, and we as the Casa Kids performed at the very first ceremony for that. And that was huge. And Bass Hall raised me a bit, because working with a symphony orchestra, honestly, at the time, my life couldn't have been better. You couldn't have told me that there was something higher for me to do than lead a song alone, or narrate something by James Earl Jones, or read about John Henry with the entire Fort Worth Symphony Orchestra behind me. It was incredible. It is. So coming back there, going back to that same dressing room where I was so nervous as a kid just to not mess up, and went over my script 1,000 times. I finally kind of know what I'm doing. So it's going to be really nice to show them what we've accomplished. I've taken most of my Fort Worth life lessons with me to Broadway. It's why people like working with me. I guarantee it, because if I had explained it, I'll be like, those things you like about me, I learned in Texas. So yeah, it is going to be a beautiful, beautiful moment. Because I didn't get to bring Aladdin to Fort Worth. I toured with Aladdin, but we went to Dallas Summer Musicals, and that's as far as we got. So yeah, this is big.
I was chatting with J. Armstrong Johnson about Moulin Rouge coming to town, and
man, I know we're like the same age, but I'm a fan of his. I look up to that kid.
He's something else, isn't he?
Yeah, I was like, not only has we've stayed friends, but he's also gotten me work just because he's the type of man who mentions his friends' names in the rooms he's in. And he's the type of person you need on your team. I will forever be a fan of J. Armstrong Johnson.
Well, I take credit for all of his success because I was his high school church camp counselor. So I really think I deserve some kudos for how he turned out.
I definitely agree with that.
Totally kidding. Obviously, he's amazing on his own right, but I'll horn in however I can. But long story short, we were chatting about him bringing Moulin Rouge to Bass Hall, and he talked about the emotions of the audience. So being on the Bass Hall stage, knowing how many friends and family you'll have in the audience, all those people that were there all those years ago, whether they knew you or supported you when you were performing as a kid, how different is that experience? I can't imagine the emotions that have to be coming your way that night.
Definitely. It's a little bit harder to stay locked in. Like when I see myself as a vessel who's just telling the story, it's really easy when the face I see I don't recognize, because, technically I wouldn't think you recognize me. You're not looking at Major entirely up there because I'm thinking someone else's thoughts right now. So yeah, it's going to be emotionally heavy in a good way. I mean, I think we need to feel these types of things, like this type of accomplishment. Is really it's going to warm my heart to know that some of the people who saw me sing in the church choir, before anybody cared what I was doing, or doing church plays. I still remember one of my mother's favorite stories of before theater was my full-time thing. We did a church show. We did a play at church, and my character was late to a Christmas party, and he was supposed to be dressed as the cow in the nativity scene. Mm-hmm. I show up with a gorilla outfit on because that's all they had left at the store. And I say this because the laughter that I heard that day still rivals any laughter I hear today. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to bring that energy back, knowing that this is the first place that I felt safe enough to be ridiculous. Yeah. Is great, because I got to be honest, this show is ridiculous, and I feel ridiculous in it. And I think that's great.
It's good to be ridiculous every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. My face is tired at the end of the show from all the expressing that we have to do. Uh-huh. And I tell people that I hope that their cheeks hurt just a little bit when they're finished watching, because that mine do too.
I saw your turn as Thurgood Marshall in the Fort Worth ISD video that you were part of. For all the big things that you've done, the accolades that you've gotten, it looked like that was extra special.
Absolutely. I don't take it lightly when I'm asked to be someone else who has really existed, and especially someone who's important to my culture and everything like that. So yeah, that, I think, for me as an actor, the idea of playing other people has always been huge. I mean, grew up in Texas playing Martin Luther King Jr. a lot for different reasons. But, I've never done like...
Do we know anybody? Yeah, let's get Major.
Yeah, Major's here. Yeah. So much so that there's a woman in Fort Worth who I'm not sure if she knows my real name. Every time I see her, she goes, Martin! And I'm like...
Dr. King!
Yes. So that was special. And that was a theater that I wanted so badly to work at for so many years, with Stage West. And I saw a show there that just truly changed my life. It was an apocalyptic show about the Simpsons, where these characters spend the entire show trying to remember the plot of a Simpsons episode of Cape Fear in particular. So and I love the people there. So yeah, it was really special for me to be able to do that for them.
Do you still consider Fort Worth home? You've been gone for how long now?
Almost a decade.
Yeah. Is Funky Town still home when you think of home?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is. I would say I feel like I'm very comfortable in New York right now.
Sure.
And who knows how long that'll last. I mean, I think I hear California calling every other day.
Okay.
But
70 and sunny is hard to beat every single day.
It is. And we just left LA 2 days ago, and I'm like, please let me go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fort Worth is still where I cut my teeth. It's still where, I'm the most familiar with my own life.
What parts of you, someone meets Major and they see these different aspects of you and who you are. What parts of you did Fort Worth inform, or it's one thing, it's home and family. There's that aspect, but also just a place that you're from. And we get good and bad from wherever we're from. But what parts were most formative for you? What parts of you are most shaped by being from here?
It's a great question. What parts of me were most shaped by being in Fort Worth? Patience. I had to learn not to rush the good stuff. I think it's easy to sit in the bad and be worried about it all the time or whatnot. I would say definitely that. What stands out to me is how long it would take me to get to rehearsals, and to how long it would take me to get home after shows. Living in Fort Worth and then doing a show at Water Tower Theater in Addison. Things like that.
It's a drive.
I would travel as far as I needed to just for that moment. I used to sing at Eatsy's The different locations, would go there, put on a chef's jacket, sing for 2 hours. So yeah, I think it taught me that the journey is long, but it's worth it, because some of the people who have pushed me along the way are still in Texas. But when I talk to them, they still broaden my horizons. They're still like, yeah, you need to go bigger. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. So yeah, Texas made me feel that way about my own life. Go get it. Is what Texas taught me.
Well, home is where the heart is, and we all go on journeys. I've had my own journey. I lived in Los Angeles for a long time, but there's just something about the place you're from, the people that knew you when, those formative aspects, the elementary school teachers, the high school teachers, all that kind of stuff, all those little deals. You have been very generous with your time today, and I know we need to wrap up, but I am, given that you are coming back home shortly, what are some shout outs, some places that you are must sees for you, whether it's a place you want to grab a bite to eat, you've got to go visit, you want to drive by and wave to, you mentioned how great Bass Hall is. What are some of the other I've got to stop by here, I've got to do this, I've got to see that?
Oh, yeah. Wow. I started my voice acting career there as well. So I'm really excited to go back to Crunchyroll.
Okay.
They dub anime into English. Those people were huge for my career, and I'm happy to go see them. I actually get to go work on an anime while I'm in town, which is really cool. Food. Barbecue. I'm probably going to hurt myself a little bit. Barbecue. I'm gonna eat. Let's see, Angelo's Barbecue, Smokeaholics Barbecue, Heim Barbecue, Off the Bone Barbecue. All of these places will get a visit from me in the time that I am in Fort Worth, Texas.
Your barbecue card's going to be full.
Absolutely. And I don't know if Buttons, the restaurant, is still there, but that was formative for me. It was a jazz spot where you can also get your chicken and waffles. We have to go to Whataburger at some point.
Yep. Got to get Whataburger in.
I'm going to say this to the camera with aggression. I'm sick and tired of my friends thinking In-N-Out is better than Whataburger. Fight
Preach!
Me. I'll meet you at the parking lot of Whataburger with fries and spicy ketchup, and we can do this.
And a potato and egg taquito if it's after 11 o'clock at night.
A honey butter chicken biscuit. Come on.
Go get it.
Yeah.
I will throw a chocolate shake at you. Oh, now I'm craving a Whataburger.
So, yeah, I mean, that's probably, those are some great places. Scat Jazz Lounge. We're going to definitely stop by Scat Jazz Lounge. I've had some great times there as well.
Man, well, it's really cool to hear about just some of those memories and the special times and the role they played in your journey. I imagine it's a mix of excitement and, coming home is always a thing. But whenever you're coming home with the big production like you are with Spam-A-Lot, for folks who haven't seen this show before, for folks who haven't seen Spam-A-Lot, haven't gotten the opportunity, but they're going to catch it at Bass Hall, what are they in store for?
Oh, my goodness. You are in store for some serious silliness that is... I said it backwards. Hold on. There's a way I like to say this. You are in store for some seriously silly people being serious about being silly.
Seriously silly people being serious about being silly. I think I got that.
Like the words are there in the script, and there's something so beautiful about these silly words crossing generations of comedy. There's not, they're real comedy doesn't age. Like it's going to stay funny, and all we have to do is say it. Now, what I add is my face. My face is only on my body. And so that's where the uniqueness comes in, I would say. But I'm there to just say the words. And I think all of us are. And I think it's really going to surprise people that this is as funny as it was 50 years ago.
The classics The classics always age well.
The classics never die.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Well, Major, you've been so generous with your time. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and you just kind of reminisce over some shared memories we didn't even know we had. But look forward to your visit, and I'll just say it right now: break a leg.
Thank you, sir. I'll see you at the show.